Неколку дена пред одржувањето на Европскиот совет во Брисел, во студиото на Европската комисија во Брисел разговарам со Пол Иван од Центарот за европски политики овде во Брисел. Welcome in my program, Mr. Ivan.
Thank you very much for having me.
My first question is, what do you expect for on enlargement issue in the next European Council? Could we expect something important like news for a whole process of enlargement?
Well, I would say probably not. I mean, we have, in terms of enlargement, we will obviously have Croatia just soon becoming the new EU member state. As for the other countries in the enlargement agenda, I wouldn't say there would be very big news. And referring strictly to Macedonia, I think, well, information has appeared that there will not be a big, let's say, big progress, most likely.
Which means, when you say no big progress, there will be. Can we expect some debate about the recommendation of the European Commission to start the negotiation?
Well, the issue will be discussed. Also be discussed next week at the meeting of the foreign ministers. But as we all know, there are still some pending issues, and there are also some issues where both the European Commission and the member states want to see progress, both in terms of internal issues related to the democracy and the rule of law in Macedonia, but also in what concerns relations with its neighbors. Obviously, the well-known name issue, but also relations, I would say, with Bulgaria.
Well, the question is, can we expect that the member states, let's say 26 member states, are going to put some pressure on Greece in order to make Greece more, let's say, willing to allow Macedonia to start negotiations?
Well, I would say that we need to be very realistic and very frank and realistic in saying that Macedonia is not on the top list of priorities of the EU. And this has to do with, obviously, with a whole great number of internal issues with which the EU is confronting. I mean, the current economic crisis, the ongoing crisis, it's capturing a lot of the energies of the EU leaders, and that is by far the first priority. At the same time, because of the economic crisis, we also have a growing Euroscepticism in Europe. We see populations being more and more negative about the EU, and this also translates in being, well, let's say, less inclined to enlarge the Union. And in the last years, we also see, let's say, several member states that pose certain problems related to their internal, with the running of their democratic systems, meaning that the EU as a whole is also, let's say, less inclined to be very open towards countries that have problems. This meaning that it will be more careful, let's say, that this enlargement countries will actually respect.
But the paradox is that fourth time the European Commission is proposing the start of negotiation, and Council is not able to take any decision.
As you well know, the European system, I mean, it's quite a complex institutional and political system in which the European Commission is only part of it. The European Parliament is also quite favorable to starting the accession talks with Macedonia, but we also have the member states. The Union and the member states have a very big say in what concerns what the EU does, and as long as not all the member states are on board, things don't get unstuck.
I guess that if there is not only Greece who opposed the start of negotiation, but maybe some others also.
Well, we saw towards the end of last year that, I mean, besides Greece, Macedonia also had, well, difficulties with another member state and another one of its neighbors, with Bulgaria. That is clearly not helpful for Macedonia's EU accession. So, but this must be understood. I mean, the EU in itself, it's also a peace project, and several member states, as you well know, well, had difficulties with their neighbors and had to settle all those issues before they could join the EU. And I'm not referring only to the beginning of the process, to the French, German normalization of their relations, but also more recent. I mean, I come from Romania and have a lot of historical issues, for example, with our neighbor Hungary, but settling all those issues before entering the EU was of prime importance.
Analyzing as an analyst in the think tank, I mean, you know well the history of EU. Do you think that compromise about a question like name issue is feasible?
I think it's feasible. It requires, well, political courage, and yeah, I think it could be. It's doable. It just depends on the two sides, not only on the Macedonian one, but obviously also on the Greek side to reach an agreement. And I think it's also quite visible for the Macedonian public that this issue has been really hampering Macedonia as well, place on the international stage for too many years.
20 almost. Following the internal debate here in Brussels, when we are talking about Macedonia, which question prevailed, the name issue in Greece, or as you mentioned in the very beginning, the democratic performance of Macedonia now?
Well, they're both are important issue. Let's say the name issue is seen as a problem that needs to be solved between the two countries, and something that it's an irritant, something that shouldn't be there. It should be solved. The democratic issues, or issues related to, let's say, the level, the quality of democracy in Macedonia, I would say that in the last, I mean, that was always there. It was always on the table. But especially now, when the EU itself is dealing both with economic, but also with political crisis, the importance of respecting the rule of law and respecting democratic principles is only increasing.
Well, Ivan, what could we expect after 4 unsuccessful recommendations of the European Commission about Macedonia? What could we expect in October, when the new annual progress report is going to be published? Do you think that the European Commission and Commissioner Füle are going to be able to reaffirm the very same recommendation to start the negotiation?
Well, let's in a way, yeah, be clear about it. I mean, the recommendations don't point a full rosy picture in which the only problem is the name issue that stops Macedonia on track. Both the Commission and Commissioner Füle asked for more progress on several things, and achieving progress on this issue will help to put, let's say, to set a different stage also for the main outstanding issues in what concerns relations with the neighbors. So in a way, Macedonia has to convince the EU member state that it is indeed prepared and willing to advance in its EU accession. It's about this. We have to understand that it's been really, let's say, even though not declared, but it's a clear, let's say, shift in attitudes, let's say, regarding the European project, and the willingness and the speed with which to integrate other countries.
Well, from this point of view, what do you expect from the next Commission? I mean, we are going to have a new team in the European Commission. Do you think that DG Enlargement or the Commissioner who will have a portfolio of enlargement will have an important role in the new structure of the Commission, which will reflect the willingness of the member states to intense the process of enlargement?
I mean, it's still quite early, let's say, to figure out what would be the, let's say, the weight of the different portfolios in the next Commission. But it's clearly that enlargement has been one of the most successful policies of the EU, notwithstanding the current, let's say, more pessimist mood in the EU. Enlargement and the accession of I mean, Central Eastern European member states, and the change that was seen by those countries, the progress registered clearly made enlargement a successful policy, and the EU is clearly in need of following its successful policies. So enlargement will be among the most important portfolios, no doubt about it.
What can we expect about Serbia? Do you think that Serbia is going to start a negotiation soon?
Well, it's also it depends here, because you also see here, let's say, the slightly different positions among the member states, and Serbia, well, has to convince as well all the member states and fulfill all the, let's say, the more specific demands one member state or another has.
Гледавте Еврозум, од студиото на Европската комисија во Брисел. Ви благодарам за вниманието.